require a response from all Americans, not just African Americans. Huffington Post executive religion editor Paul Raushenbush writes, "There is an epidemic in this country and its victims are black men." He goes on, "Black Americans are rightfully outraged, but it will require all Americans to be mobilized before the racism that undergirds these killings will end and the deaths along with it. White Americans have to stop channel surfing all the outrageously bad news from around the world and focus on the death that is happening in our own cities to our fellow Americans." And Paul Raushenbush joins me now from Huffington Post. Nice to see you, sir.
Great to be with you.
So let's begin. I think just if anything, the title of your piece, what white people can do about the killing of black men in America, you get to the point about white people need to listen and show up. How do you mean?
Well, it's not just a black problem. It's not something that happens over there to those people. This is all of our problem. This is the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Ferguson, in Staten Island, in LA. They're feeling vulnerable. They're feeling like less than human in America. And that's everybody's problem. And we need to show up. We need to show solidarity and be part of creating solutions, long-term solutions.
Not just sitting on a computer with hashtags and tweeting.
Well, I think that, there is an awareness that comes from social media. We see images. All of us became very aware of what happened in Ferguson. We got images very quickly, but we can get a certain good feeling about, retweeting something you agree with, and then consider that actually something that you've done. A friend of mine who's really in the trenches with this, a black pastor, said, it's a moment, not a movement when we do that.
Yes,
and I think it's very important. It needs to be a movement. This is Reverend Tony Lee outside of D.C., and he's really working on creating a movement of people helping to change systematic racism in this country.
So how does the church help?
The church helps in a variety of ways. A lot of times the church is the central institution in many cities across the country. So they get involved. They get involved and have good relationships, outreach with the police. The police know them. They know the police. They hold the police accountable. They recognize, they use their influence, their moral influence to say, it's not okay to kill our black men. We need to have people accountable so that the next time there is a sense of repercussion. And not only that, the black church has to be preaching, and the white church has to be preaching, everybody has to be preaching, black people matter, black bodies matter, black lives matter.
To think that they have to preach that, to remind people of that.
That is the history of our country.
Yeah.
It's the history of our country that we're overcoming of years, of foundational racism, and we're making progress. There are good things that are happening, but this shows us how far we have to go.
It does. Every time this happens, but it shouldn't just be a reminder, and it shouldn't just be a moment. To that pastor's point in Prince George's County, Maryland, it needs to be a movement. Paul Raushenbush, thank you so much from the Huffington Post for stopping by.
My pleasure.
Trying to cover every single angle of this story. Coming up now.